Hey all you submariners out there, this is Matt, and welcome to episode number 15 of my Cold Waters Elite difficulty playthrough. So far we spent 94 days at war, sunk a total of 151 ships, and a total tonnage of 906,165, so we're closing in on that magical 1 million ton mark. And right now I'm still going rogue. I've just restocked the torpedo room, and I'm heading back into the Norwegian Sea / Barents Sea area to sink as much Soviet shipping as I can. So that's what I'm doing right now, just heading out that way. I see, you know, 3 of them over there in the Barents Sea, and that's generally where I'm heading for right now. Most of the map is blue, so it's under our control, so I would expect our MPA aircraft to actually do a good job of showing anybody that might be in the Norwegian Sea. So I've moved into the Barents, and I immediately have a group of submarines that comes to encounter me, varying with 356. Our heading is 344, so they'll be just about in front of us. Make sure the tubes are loaded, close to 15,000 yards, and engage combat.
Rig ship for ultra quiet.
We start at 50 feet. It looks like a submarine encounter group, so I'm not going to worry about raising the periscope or anything like that. I'll just get to classifying Sierra 1 right away. And let's see what that is. Looks like maybe a Victor
Sierra
1.
1 is classified as submerged submarine.
And he's showing right now a 31% solution at about 13.5 thousand yards. I don't mind holding on a little bit here, trying to get a little bit more information. So I'm going to turn my beam towards him to get a little bit more information from the towed array. And a little bit later on, once I've gotten more information, not a whole lot more information, mind you, only a 37% solution, but it looks like sonar has placed him a little bit closer than initially, and he's a little bit closer than I'd like, so I'm going to shoot at him. Once again, I would consider this, even though it's kind of an aggressive move, as more of like a defensive weapon. I want something in the water to keep him from being able to attack me. So I've got a weapon inbound on Sierra 1 right away, and I activated the weapon right away so that I can steer it. And a little bit later on, that weapon has acquired at about 7.7 thousand yards, so he was actually pretty close, about as close as sonar thought, and able to steer that weapon right into him and take care of the Victor 1. So once I'm done with the Victor 1, I'm going to stick around a little bit here. I'm trying to get a little bit more information in case there's anybody else around. So I'm using my active sonar after sticking around for a little bit, not finding anybody and being around the Victor 1, the sunken Victor 1. I start to use my active sonar in hopes of luring somebody to ping me back. So usually about 3 or 4 pings of active sonar is about all I'll do at one time. And then disengage my active sonar and listen. So that was ping number 3, and we're going to have one more. And I finally do see a response. Bearings about 235. Somewhere around 235 or so is about right. So I fire a weapon in that direction right away, and I receive counterfire. I have a torpedo behind me, release a countermeasure. I'm at 600 feet, and the bottom is 645, so I don't have a whole lot of wiggle room here. I'm hoping that traveling at flank speed, that I'm not going to encounter a place where the bottom comes up quickly, or else I might run into the bottom, which would be obviously bad news.
Knuckle formed.
So anyway, I settle back into my torpedo evasion technique. Even though I'm cavitating a little bit here at 33 knots, I'm able to make the torpedo outrun. I'm able to outrun the torpedo so it runs out of energy. And you can see that actually the torpedo I fired in that direction actually had acquired a target that I didn't even know of at that point. It was a Sierra class boat, which is obviously something to worry about in this game. So it actually, even though the wire was cut and everything, it actually went right exactly where it needed to go. And now, without having to do anything else, fire another weapon, that weapon was able to actually take out Sierra 2, which was a Sierra Sierra boat, which can be a little bit confusing at times. So after that, I do stick around and see if there's anything else, and then decide, yeah, there's nothing else here, so I leave the engagement. And there was only those two boats on the mission, the Sierra and the Victor 1. So I'll just go back to the Barents Sea, and I have two more groups approaching me, so I shouldn't have to move here. I didn't go anywhere. I'm still in the same location. Bearing 13, our heading is 89, so we're looking at about 70 degrees, 75 degrees to the left. We have two contacts, Sierra 1 and Sierra 2, and those would be surface contacts. So I'm going to go up to periscope depth, raise the ESM mast and the scope, take a look around. Detection threshold is pretty high. So I'll mark that target, and there's another one here. Master 2, look around a little bit more. I don't think there's anything else that I can see, so I'll lower the masts, which is always good to do right away. You don't want to leave them up because you may forget and then dive and then you wreck your mast. So you should always be in the habit of lowering the mast as soon as you're done with them. It only takes a matter of a few moments to raise them again if you need to, so it's not a huge deal. Right, so Master 1 was classified as a Utiloid. I lost that contact by diving as deep as I did. I lost the contact, but I assume he's still moving in my direction, which is one of their known tactics, is to come right for me. I think they're trying to use their depth charge launcher, the RBU 6000. They're trying to get within 6,000 yards to use that, so I definitely want to fire on them sooner rather than later to keep them outside of that range. So here the weapon's closing in on the Utiloid. Hits it amidship somewhere near the stern.
Contact breaking up.
And that's enough to take out the Utiloid. I'll reload that tube 1, and then I'm going to fire a weapon to activate in the direction of Master 2, which is going to activate hopefully past the sinking hulk of the Utiloid. So I've been able to keep the wire on weapon 2. And now I'm going to use the raise the radar mast to get a better idea of where Master 2 is. And then when I do that, I actually realize that there's another ship out here, Master 3. I also can hear the helicopter overhead, but he doesn't seem to be getting any closer or anything like that. But I can hear him off in the distance a little ways. Master 2 is pinging me with active sonar, so I also have that to help me guide the torpedo in.
Con sonar, Master 2 is classified as escort.
I'm able to classify Master 2 as a Kara, I believe. And now that I've got that done, I'm feeling a little bit more confident about Master 3, so I'm going to shoot a torpedo in that direction. Because I believe that he'll be heading straight for me as well. That's what they do. So now the weapon is approaching the Kara. It's actually getting towards the end of its runtime. It only has a minute and a half left, so it did show up pretty, couldn't waste any more time getting there, that's for sure. That was a long distance shot for certain. Now I see that there's a torpedo nearby ahead to me, pretty much due north. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. And I go to torpedo evasion in case it actually acquires me. So pretty soon after doing that, I'm going to lose the wire on torpedo number 2. But that torpedo never does acquire me. It just kind of stays over there and then finally runs out of energy.
5 knots. Maneuvering eye.
I've been able to classify Master 3 as a Cresta 2 by this point. And here is the point when that torpedo that I launched at it finally arrives. I don't have the wire, so it's on internal guidance only. I have a nice little kill here by Moonlight. So that's it for the Cresta 2.
7 contact breaking up.
And that should be about it for this engagement. I'll stick around for a little bit longer because there's an aircraft nearby, so I need to get away from that area. So, but I'll speed up time here at flank speed. be able to get the hell out of here. I think that was at full speed actually, but 26 knots. I get out of there pretty quick anyway. So only those 3 ships on this engagement. I sank them all, and now ready for that submarine encounter group. To make sure the tubes are loaded properly, which I took care of on the last mission. Close to 15,000 yards and engage. I'll start this engagement with Sierra 1. It looks like very nearby. 8,000 yards. No more than 10,000 yards, really. I don't think. Well, it shows us 13, so it's made a liar out of me, but not very far either way. Looks like a diesel electric boat, a Romeo, which definitely makes me relax right away because I'm not really worried about a Romeo. I'm going to turn in that direction immediately and shoot as soon as I can. Actually, I'm going to turn. I believe he's heading south, so I'm going to turn past his course, and so that I can fire a torpedo ahead of him. Lead the target a little bit.
250 feet, dive
As soon as I shoot the torpedo, the wire breaks. I was turning as well as descending, so I asked for that one really. Anyway, the wire broke, but it's heading in a good direction. And a short time later, it's homing in on the target. I don't have the wire, so there's nothing I can do about it. I'm just going to watch it. But there's no difficulty here. He's been able to avoid it, and hits him pretty much right under the conning tower. And that's it for the Romeo. I don't think there's anything else out here. I don't see any more targets, and when I leave the engagement, there's only the Romeo in the area, so that's fine. I'll head back out to the map and see if there's anybody else around here. I do see that engagement, that submarine group out in the Norwegian Sea, but I don't think it's worth my while to chase them. So I'll stick around here instead. I see that MPA, so I'm going to go out and make sure he can intercept me. And wait and see. In doing so, it looks like I did attract the attention of that submarine group that was in the middle of the Norwegian Sea. It came back to get me, so that's alright. Close to 15,000 yards. Contact bearing 259 and our heading's 171. So
rig ship for ultra quiet.
Off to our left, to our right. I have 2 contacts when starting this one. I have Sierra 1, which I'm going to classify here soon after turning in that direction.
56 helm I.
Looks like it's probably a Victor. It's a Victor 1. Victor 1.
Con sonar, Sierra 1 is classified as submerged submarine.
And Sierra 2, which is showing at 47.5 thousand yards, which I think is total bunk. It's going to be closer than that. Sierra 2 is in November.
Sierra 2 is classified as.
So once I classify both of those, I turn in the direction that I can engage them. Engage the Victor 1 first, because it's the closest, and also because it's the most capable of the both contacts that I have. So I fire at the Victor 1, and as the torpedo is approaching, I'm able to fire another one towards the November, now that my solution on that has improved a little bit. Still not really great, but I figure I know what direction he's in anyway, and well within the range of a Mark 48 torpedo. So meanwhile, I'm steering this torpedo in to the target, to the Victor 1.
Con, fire control, weapon acquired.
And then I kind of mess up here a little bit, trying to make sure the Victor 1 is the target that I have selected, so that I can perhaps steer it, but I end up I don't have to steer it in the end. The weapon's able to home in on its own.
Contact breaking up.
So I'll reload that tube and focus on steering weapon number 2, which is heading apparently exactly in the right direction. So now I have weapon number 2 homing in on the November. once again, I don't even need to steer this one, it just steers itself.
Contact. Sierra 2. Last bearing.
So that's it
2,
for the
4,
November.
3. Contact breaking up.
Then I stick around for a little bit longer to see if there's anything else.
Con sonar new contact bearing.
And
2.
am rewarded
9,
with
2,
a
designated
third
Sierra
contact,
3.
which I immediately classify. And what is it? Looks like a Sierra.
Con sonar.
So,
Sierra
excuse
3
me, he was
is classified as submerged.
more or less
submarine.
line and weight. I don't know if the tactic was to allow his less capable colleagues here to take the attack, so I would reveal myself, but it doesn't seem to have really worked.
Aye,
Both
sir.
his friends are dead, and he's not pinging me with sonar or anything like that, so I don't think he knows where I am. He'll know soon. So that weapon I fire, homes in, almost right away. I have a 95% contact, so I am steering it a little bit there at the end, just to make sure that I get him. And I hit him right in the side. He sinks out right away. 1 torpedo is all it takes for him. And that should be it. A 3 nuke boat Wolfpack. Sunk them all. A Victor, Sierra, and a November. So I know, just as I leave, another MPA goes overhead, so I'll just stay where I am. And I have another surface group heading my way. Bearing 100, our heading is 78, so we're looking at a little bit over 20 degrees to the right, close to 15,000 yards, and engage. Eventually.
Rig ship for
There we go.
ultra
So
quiet.
I start the encounter with 3 contacts available. I'm at 50 feet.
Make
I'm
depth
going to go up to
4, 5
45
feet,
and then
dive
raise
by.
the ESM mast and the scope. Take a look around.
Con, dive at 4, 5 feet, dive by.
Looks like a high detection threshold, but I'm going to ignore that for now because I just want this information. Kind of faff around with the periscope a little bit. Sometimes I use the directional keys and other times I use the mouse. Sometimes I find it easier to use the mouse for fine control because the directional keys tend to make it jump around a little bit. Anyway, I was not able to mark that target for whatever reason, so I move on to the next one. Sierra 3, and there's actually a 4th contact that appeared. Echo 4 while I had my ESM mast up. So I'm going to come back over and try to classify this target once again, try to mark it. Fighting it a little bit. After a few more pegs of that I button on the keypad, I decide I've had enough. Whatever, I'll deal with it. I know that he's generally in that direction, which is fine. I'm going to set a depth of about 700
Make depth
feet.
750 feet, dive
The
by.
floor here is about 890, so that gives me enough room to maneuver with. I've classified 2 contacts so far. Sierra 3 is a submarine in November, which ends up being a lot closer than I thought. I have 1 weapon heading off towards the Master 2, the Cashin, and I had the other one in mind for Master 1, so I
Is
fired the 3rd
classified as
weapon
escort.
at the November. Before that weapon arrives, I take out the Cashin
7, 8. Contact breaking up.
and then focus on the weapon heading towards the November, which is turning and cavitating to get the heck out of there. I don't rate his chances as being very good, but hey, it's worth a try. So we'll watch this weapon square in the side.
3, last bearing 2.
And that's it for him.
1. Contact breaking up.
The weapon that I fired towards Master 1, which I've since classified as an Udaloy, is getting close. A short time later, it does home right in.
Weapon acquired.
I'm going to speed up time here until it arrives.
Master 1, last bearing 1.
And that's it for the
0,
Udaloy. The
4.
only
Contact
target left
breaking
now
up.
is Master 4, which I've still yet to classify, but I know he's coming from generally the direction where it shows that he was before, because I'm getting those active sonar pings. I'll set a course
Left 2,
towards the last
1,
known
4,
bearing of
8,
Master
no
4.
lie.
Prepare prepare a torpedo to run shallow, and then fire it so that it passes the cash-in before it activates. Now, while that's happening, we'll watch the torpedo just depart here. I'm going to go up to periscope depth and use my, I did use my radar mast to get a better idea of exactly where Master 4 was. I guess it's a Canaan. And I'm able to strike him with that torpedo that launched in his direction. We'll watch him sink here a little bit, which can always be entertaining. So that's it for the Canaan Master 4. So once I'm done sinking him, I check there's actually a helicopter nearby, so I'm going to dive deep. I'm going to go fast and get the heck out of this area. Once I'm out of range and the engagement, a Canaan, a Utiloi, a Krivac, which I believe was that cash-in. I have a real hard time with the cash-in / Krivac. I must be very close, and if I don't see all the lines properly, then I end up misclassifying them. It's like a 50-50, but it's never a 50-50. Alright, so here's another surface group. Bearing 183, our heading is 77, or is that 163? I think it's 163. So we're looking at 85 degrees or something like that, somewhere around
Rig
there.
ship for ultra quiet.
I have 2 contacts, bearing Sierra 1 and Sierra 2. I'll get busy here classifying them soon, but because it's a surface group, I'm going to go up to 45 feet, use my scope, see what's going on up there. Looks like it's either early morning or it's getting towards dusk. I think they're dawn or dusk, one or the other. There's the helicopter, bearing 100 or so. All right, there's the first contact. Master 2, and here's Master 1.
Lower
If
the
I
ESM mast.
get to classify it, once again, he's really close, bearing in on me. I couldn't get it to mark the target, so I just forgot about it. Now I'm going to dive to 600 feet and engage. I've had a chance to, after doing that, to classify both targets and choose a Cresta 2, and Sierra 1 is an Utiloi. I shot at the Cresta 2 first. Now I'm going to shoot at the Utiloi, who is clearly moving in my direction. Once again, trying to close the range to use his depth charges, so I want to keep him away as much as possible. Now the weapon on the Utiloi actually arrives first. So we'll watch that one close the distance and finally strike home in the stern.
Sonar lost contact. Sierra
One weapon's all you need for an Utiloi. And then immediately switch over to the Cresta 2, who's once again coming right for me. And at the last second decides this is a bad idea. Hangs a hard right, but it's too late. So the Cresta 2 takes it right inside, and that's it for Master 2.
Contact breaking up.
So let's stick around here a little bit longer just to see what's going on. See if there's any other contacts in this area. Also, I watched the Cresta 2 sink, turn over, and then just slip under the waves. Kind of an interesting shot there.
Torpedo room 2
Now that I'm happy with that, I'll just reload the tubes. And I try to leave combat, but there's an aircraft nearby, so I'm down at 600 feet. I'm going to, and you can see over to the right, there's actually some depth charges that were just dropped, and up towards the surface, you can see the rotor wash of the helicopter. So he's off to the right, but he's nowhere near me. I don't know what he dropped those depth charges on, but it wasn't me. All right, so I'll leave combat. I've only got those 2 ships in this encounter. And now we have another submarine coming up to meet us. Bearing 131, our heading is 253, so we're looking at about 120 degrees or so difference.
Rig shift for ultra quiet.
A little bit to our left and a little bit behind us. And immediately we have Sierra 1. We're actually in a great position to get that contact, just with the towed array being in the orientation that it is. So we started in a good way. We'll classify Sierra 1.
Con sonar. Sierra
like Victor 1
is classified as submerged submarine.
Just fast forward here a little bit till I've turned to point that contact. I have a 79% solution, which is way more than enough for me to shoot on. So I have one weapon going towards the Victor 1, and just as I'm getting ready to shoot, Sierra 2 shows up. So I'm going to immediately shoot Sierra 2 as well. That wire breaks, unfortunately. I wasn't really doing any hard maneuvering. That was just bad luck. Looks like Sierra 2's an alpha.
Con, helm, steady course.
Yeah, and for whatever reason the alpha drops off. If the alpha drops off your scope like that, it's probably because he stopped moving around. Because if he was moving at all, he'd show up. And now we got the alpha again. Sierra 3 shows up just as I'm guiding the torpedo in on the Victor 1. So I'm going to focus on that. I don't get to watch the Victor 1 take the torpedo because I was focusing on Sierra 3. I classify that target first. Slowly but surely here. It's not a Sierra. It's not an Alpha. It looks like it's another Victor.
Sonar, Sierra 3
and I classify it as a Victor 2, which is a little bit more worrisome than a Victor 1, but not a whole lot. So now that I have that information, I'm not being pinged from that direction or anything like that. I've been able to take my time. I'm going to line up the shot and shoot at the Sierra 3, the Victor 2.
Shoot tube 2. Aye, sir.
And then I'm going to watch that torpedo move away a little bit, and then switch to the one that's approaching the Alpha. Because it's going to take a little while for the one approaching the Victor to get out there. So I'm watching the one. I'm watching the one that's closing on the Alpha. I sped up time, so it's a little bit of a Keystone Cops kind of feel to it right now, but it's slowed it back down in time to watch the impact. And now we've got the one heading towards the Victor 2. So didn't have to wait long for that. I've turned on active homing so that I can steer the weapon a little bit if I need to, but I don't really even need to. So those two kills were almost one after another there. And that should be it for this nuclear Wolfpack. That was all three of them. So stick around for just a minute or two, decide that's got to be the last of them, and then I'll end this engagement and get the heck out of here. We'll leave combat. Alright, so I have 3 torpedoes left right now. I need to head back to Holy Lock to resupply, so I want to back out of the Barents Sea as quickly as possible, hopefully not getting engaged. I'm not going to waste any time there. I have one of my friendly MPAs there that should show me if there's anything approaching me from the Barents Sea, and it looks like I've made it, so we're backing away. There is a surface group coming in my direction, but I've made it out of there. And finally, as I'm backing away, the mission that we were on, that we were ignoring, the TLAM mission, was aborted. So we failed that one. And now the next mission is to return to Holy Lock, which I was doing anyway, so fine, we can do that. We're definitely going to finish that mission. So I'll skip ahead. The next mission to do is actually a TLAM mission again. They really want me to do the TLAM, so I've decided in this case that I'm going to do it. There is a factor that enters into that I'm not going to talk about right now. I just want to rearm I want to arm the sub with TLAMs first, so I'm going to load 8 of them and then fill the rest up with torpedoes and then head back out for this TLAM mission, which you'll finally get to see, which I've avoided so far. So I'll head back out into the North Atlantic. We're going to Murmansk for this TLAM mission, so that's where we're heading. And so I will save the game here, then go to the summary screen. And as you can see, we finally did reach our target, over 1 million tons. We're at 1,016,990 tons, and that's the reason why I've decided now and I'm going to go for it on this TLAM mission because now that I've made this target, I figure I might as well just try to end this campaign as quickly as I can. So after 101 days at war, sunk 169 vessels and over 1 million tons of Soviet shipping sent to the bottom. I'm going to drop the next video here in the next day or two, as always. So thank you very much for stopping by, and have a great day.